Well, it looks like the most obvious thing in the world has been pretty much confirmed. Trump didn't actually have bone spurs that prevented him from fighting in Vietnam. Looks like it was just his privilege. Sad. The daughters of a Queens foot doctor say their late father diagnosed President Donald Trump with bone spurs to help him avoid the Vietnam War draft as a favor to his father, Fred Trump, according to a new report Wednesday. Dr. Larry Braunstein, a podiatrist who died in 2007, rented his office in Jamaica, Queens from Fred Trump in the 1960s, the Times reported, citing records. His two daughters told the Times that their father provided the diagnosis of bone spurs as a courtesy to the elder Trump. "I know it was a favor," Elisa Braunstein told the newspaper, who added that the small favor got her father access to Fred Trump. "If there was anything wrong in the building, my dad would call and Fred Trump would take care of it immediately," she told the Times. Trading favors for access. Sounds like he passed down those lessons to his son, as well as, the whole tax evasion, money laundering, fraud, shell companies, and shady real estate deals. Oh, yeah, and the racism too. But of course, Donald Trump in the past has said that his bone spurs were fake news, so let's hear him out. "I had a doctor that gave me a letter, a very strong letter on the heels," Mr. Trump said in a 2016 interview with the New York Times. In the same interview, he couldn't remember which heel he had the spurs in, so his campaign just said he had them in both. Yikes. A very strong letter on the heels. Well, that does it then. I'm convinced. In all seriousness, I'm a principled leftist. I don't have a problem with Americans who sought to draft dodge in Vietnam. The war was an atrocity, and I believe Muhammad Ali, for example, was an American hero for his dodging and activism. But Trump was nothing of the sort. He was not a conscientious objector to the war. He was just a privileged liar whose father was already salarying him to the tune of nearly $1 million, and who was taught this lesson at a young age. Cheaters win. And not only was Trump not an activist against the war and his draft dodging was not even close to being a principled stance, he famously said this about John McCain, who was captured and tortured for years in Vietnam.
He's not a war hero.
He's a war hero.
He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
And I like people who aren't amoral grifters who, despite all facts and logic, after a school shooting, make claims like this.
I got to watch some deputy sheriffs performing this weekend. They weren't exactly Medal of Honor winners. I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon.
That kind of attitude of entitlement and selfishness is not going unnoticed by our military men and women. His approval rating amongst military members has dipped steadily since he was first elected, and his disapproval has increased. And it isn't helping that he refuses to do even the symbolic commander-in-chief things like visit the troops on Christmas. This is why Trump's draft dodging shouldn't be discussed in the framework of cowardice. It should be discussed in the framework of his entitlement. He felt entitled not to go to Vietnam, not because there was any moral objection, but because he was rich and his daddy could get him out of it. He doesn't care about anything or anyone beyond his immediate circle, which is why he chose to get out of Vietnam. Not for any political reason, but because he didn't want to. He is a leader of the most powerful country on earth, without a moral compass, one who believes in one thing and one thing only, himself. And that's a dangerous thing.